Hello and welcome back to Oceanblock. I'm Zog, and last time we did some kind of random odds and ends things. We got our little ore laser base things for the main purpose of getting prosperity shards, because our favorite way to get resources is actually through this. So we're only gonna use the ore laser base for kind of random odds and ends things like prosperity shards that you can't actually get from seeds. But in the process of making that, we actually needed kind of some of the plastic production stuff, which isn't running right now. We have some latex and stuff stored up, and we'll end up using it later for sure. But we didn't really go too far with it, and it's not on right now. I need to find a better way to automate the placing of the logs, and then we can go ahead and just let it be automatic forever. But for now, we're kind of just rolling with it. We also went through and made this guy, which is really, really cool. And we were talking about automating the redstone for this in the future. I haven't looked more into that yet, so that's not what we're going to do today. Today, we've got a couple other things to mess with. Well, really one big thing, but it's going to revolve a couple things kind of inside of it. That task? I don't know, whatever. Anyway, point is we're going to do a few things that all kind of build to a larger goal. And what I want to do is actually redesign these guys so I can take them all down. Now, what that's going to entail is, one, we need to actually develop and design that. So we're going to build kind of off of this corner. We're going to make like a little bit of a path. And periodically in that path, we're going to branch off and create the, tier 1, the tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5. But we're going to organize them in a way that allows us to get the power that we need to these things without having it be, well, ugly. So that's going to be a bit of a task. But aside from that, we also need to kind of reorganize our stuff here, because I've changed my mind on where we want to store these things, and I kind of want those all in the same place. And now that we've started building underwater here, part of me wants to build another underwater chamber below this one and have all of those drawers for all of them be in the same place, because this was getting a little tedious, I think, having them be random places like this. Granted, we can access all of them from our storage, but there's an easier way to transport them and store them that doesn't require so much work. And you'll see that a little later, but that's pretty much today's goal. Well, it turns out this guy right here is kind of buggy. Obviously, I closed down the world, overnight and over the days and stuff. But as soon as I came back, a couple things were actually different. Number one was these guys. I had to break and replace all of them in order for them to show up right. And these guys too. But also the tesseracts don't work. I just reloaded the world and my tesseracts stopped working. We're going to have to find a different way to transmit power. I'm hoping they have a good, a good alternative for that, but I don't know if they do or not. That's going to be really unfortunate. I don't want to change the design, but at the same time, I really don't want to have to break and place this guy every time just to get it to work. And I don't know how long it'll be before they fix it, because it's kind of buggy. It's kind of a pain. Just saying. So we're running into a problem. We have enough of the power pots now that we're actually using almost, well, I can't say almost all of our energy. But you see this guy he's getting there, right? He's getting there. He's almost full. But all I did was go to this guy and put on a times 32. Granted, that's a lot. That is a whole lot. But if we compare that to what it was before, when I had minus 2 or 3 of these, I was able to go to like plus or times 64 and still not even drain this at all. I went to times 32 and we only have about 100,000 more than we need to run these guys. And we have a lot more to go. That said, we already know that I am kind of easily able to just kind of craft some nitro stuff. So what do I need exactly? What actually do I need? Because we need more than 64, because we need 36 each. So we need 64 plus 8. So we do that and minus 2. That should be enough for 2 of them. Ooh, I need to go get some nether star essence. Do I not have one of those in a pot? I thought I had one of those in a power pot. Maybe I do not. Yeah, even at times 16, it's kind of a lot. It takes a lot out of it for sure. It was able to do 30 seconds after it was full, but still. I'm trying to get the seeds in here so I can lock the drawer and I don't have to worry about it anymore, but whatever. Anyway, I didn't make a new plot because we're already running low on power, but I did move the nether star crop over here in the place of the Uraninite essence because we have 30,000 of these. We have plenty. We have plenty for a long time. There we go, finally. That's the quantify key. I need the locking key. So now we have those guys. What I want to do is just kind of let this linger for a little while because if I do that, then I can get 2 Nitro reactors right away, and they're very, very easy to set up, and we can just go ahead and plop them down like there and call it a day. After we hook up, of course, our export buses with all the things and yada, yada, yada. But after that, after they start producing, we're good. And we don't really have to worry too much about anything else. And we'll just all of a sudden have an extra 160,000 RF per tick, which should be able to sustain a little bit of this. Hopefully. We actually probably need like 4 more, but we'll see where we get to. We'll see where we get to after this guy goes for a little while. Because remember, I needed about 200 of them. And this guy's going, I mean, he's already gotten, I don't know, that many? What is that? 3 of them have already grown? Because those pots are pretty ridiculous, you know? But that's all right. We'll manage. And I'm going to linger. I'm going to play. I'm going to do what I can. And I don't know. We'll get stuff working. I know it doesn't look like a whole lot right now, but bear with me, okay? Bear with... Why are you here? Hold on. There's a tiny little light here. Bye now. So just bear with me a little bit because there's plans, okay? This is the skeleton structure of things. So what's going to happen is, of course, we're going to expand on this. We're going to build the ice around it. And we're going to build little platforms. And we're going to have tier 1 going off in this general vicinity. Tier 2 is going to kind of go off in this area. Tier 3 is going to go off through here, obviously, and kind of in this direction because it's bigger. There's a lot more of it. Tier 4 that way. Tier 5 in this direction. And Tier 6 kind of here. Tier 6 is kind of small, so it doesn't need a lot of space. And that's kind of the idea. I just need to build the platforms. So when it comes to all of our crops with mystical agriculture, what I want to do with the area over here is something similar to this. This side here more so than this. And maybe it'll be a little less than this. I'm not exactly sure. I got to see what it looks like once I get it over there. But the idea is I kind of want something like this because it kind of obstructs and fills the empty space. Something like this sitting in the middle of an open ice like this, the platform itself is good because eventually it'll be filled and it'll make sense why there's a big flat land over here. But with these guys, they're not walk spaces. Like they're not places you're going to walk except for in the middle. So it makes sense he would carve out the walkways, but it doesn't necessarily make sense he would dig out everything out and around all of these guys. There's no point. He'd kind of leave it there and kind of let it be and only dig out what he needed. So all of these guys are kind of inset in the ice a little bit more than they normally would be had we put the ice there afterwards, right? But this is the story is that he dug it out in order to make room for things. So he's got, I mean, this just makes more sense in my mind. So it fills the empty space and it also looks a little better than having like these little floating things in the middle of the air that are filled with air rather than having like an ice thing that's like, all the way around it. And even if we, roughen it up a little bit like we've done with the other things, with that empty space underneath it, it still looks weird. It still looks odd. Like, you know what? That needs to be filled in. It just gives you that impression like we need to fill that in a little bit. So it's going to be. But other than that, it's pretty much the same as what you would see down here with this guy. I just need to set them out. And the other big issue is kind of that we just don't have the power to have all of our seeds. So we have to prioritize certain seeds, which means certain things certain areas are going to be built out more than others because we don't have the means. Okay, let me clarify. Okay, I could totally go and autocraft like all of my nitro things and just wait long enough for all of the resources to come in and I could just chill. But that's not realistic considering we still need about 400 nitro reactors in order to support all of our crop plots. Though maybe not that many just to support all tier 1 crop plots, but you know, it is what it is. So it just makes more sense to kind of go a little bit at a time. And that's kind of what we're going to do. But because we're separating them by tier, we're going to have a few at tier 2, or a few at tier 1, a few some at tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. So we're just going to have a couple here and there in each of these locations. And we're going to fill them in over time. So what I kind of want to do is set them up for the most part. Maybe even get the PowerPot set up and created and placed so that they're all ready to go as soon as we do have the need or the means to set another seed in one of them after we get some more nitro reactors. We can kind of slowly fill them in, but I do want to get most of these guys here placed. As many as I can handle. Now, the way I did that is because I can actually go in here now and choose to do, 10 of these things, which apparently we only have 6 of those. I just got to make another recipe for how to make the pots here. It actually won't be too difficult because we have clay and everything. I could do all the crafting and the burning and the yada yada. But I can do multiples. Now, the issue with that originally is that if I did multiples, all of them would get deposited into this chest and set out, and then this would become an invalid recipe because there's too many blocks in all of these available slots. So what I've done is I created this little system here. This is in addition to the fact that I have to click craft. So it'll set one out, I'll click craft, it'll finish, and then I'll hit this button right here, which will allow the next batch to come in because there's a setting inside of our crafters. I forgot I have hover mode on. There's a setting in the crafter here that says, 1 redstone pulse inserts the next set. So until it gets another redstone pulse, it will not get the next batch, and therefore will not interrupt whatever is already in process down there. And here's the receiver to the other end of that button, basically. So it's just going to send a redstone pulse to it anytime I hit this button. It'll send it to the crafter. So I can hit craft, I can wait for it to be done, and then I can go boop, boop, craft again, and then it'll just kind of go one by one by one by one. And I could do 10 of those without too much trouble because we do actually get the energy pretty quick. Yeah, I mean, it's not instant or anything. It takes a little while to actually craft these things, but that's okay. Part of me wants to try a bulk craft to see what that's like, to see if it's okay that we do that. But I'm not sure how that will work with this system here. I don't actually know how it would actually work, but I kind of want to try it just to see. Ta-da! So this is the idea that I had. Now let me show you a little bit about it because it probably looks like they're all thrown together. That is intended. But I wanted this to also be separated. So the separation in the organization is a little bit hidden, but also existing. So if I really need to, I can figure out. And I can tell you exactly which ones are of what tier. And I do that either through elevation or a very small bit of extra separation. So what we have basically is these are all the tier 1s on this level right here. So this is a tier 1, this is a tier 2. So we have tier 1 all the way around over here. There's 9 of them. And then we go over to the tier 2s, which is basically all the way down here. And there's going to be more decoration, of course, with ice and stuff. And like I mentioned with this other area here, we're gonna spruce it up and stuff. This is the basic design so that I can actually get started with other things and actually place things down. Because I know where the final position is for each of these power pots and everything like that. So we're good to go. I can decorate later. I wanted to make sure I had the right positions of everything first. So there's still a little bit more work to do, but basically this is the idea. And these are all the tier 2s. And then on this level is the tier 3s, but the tier 4s are also in the same elevation. So we have them separated. This right here signifies the little bit of separation that we have. So these are all tier 4s that go right here. And these are all tier 3s around this area on this elevation, including this one. This is a tier 3. These are tier 3s. These are where the tier 2s are because they're down a block. I'm sure you get that, and I'm over-explaining now. I apologize. I do that often. But that's the basic idea. And we have tier 4s, and then we have tier 5s, and then we have tier 6. Now, it does look like it gets a little sparse at the end, you know, over on this side, but it kind of makes sense because we do only have so many seeds for tier 5 and tier 6, and I still wanted them separated, so I didn't really want to mix them in, and overall, I don't think it looks bad. But I do need to do a lot more work as far as the actual design. I need to mix in the packed ice and blue ice. I need to probably readjust these levels for what goes up and down and where and whatnot, and also what else we're going to put in here, because we have other concepts in this area, so we can actually reprocess the seeds over in the same area and still stash them where they need to be stashed in the system and not have to worry about extra seeds, because we only need, after this point, we only need one of every seed. Any extras we get can go straight to a reprocessor to get us extra essence of whatever it is that it gives. So we're good to go on that front. We just need to kind of rework it a little bit. But what I want to do now is find a way to get all of the, not necessarily the power pots yet, because that'll take a little bit of time to get through because we have over 100 seeds. And right now we've only gotten, I don't know, maybe like 10 power pots. So we got a lot more of those to go. But I think I might be able to get the plugs or the points, the power points. Power points? I just realized what, you know, it's a flux point, but PowerPoint. Those of you who work in an office setting will know exactly what I'm talking about by that. But basically, we want some of these flux points here to be connected to all of these guys. And they are designed to allow for that. It's not the most efficient thing, but we won't need one point for every single pot. It is designed so that we need less points than we have pots. And I'll kind of show you that here in just a second. And now we have power. Or we'll have power as soon as we start putting these plots down anyway. So I'm going to scan over this. It's actually fortunate that it's raining right now because it kind of mutes the flames that come out of the jetpack so you can see a little better. But I'm going to go over this. For those of you who understand how I'm applying power and you need adjacent blocks and all that other nonsense, if you're good at that kind of thing, it's spotting stuff, feel free to take a look around and make sure I didn't miss anything. I think I did a pretty good job with it, but more eyes, the better kind of thing. So feel free to shout it out and be like, hey, to make it easier, tier 1, tier 2, you know, list the tiers. Tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and just be like you missed one in tier 2 or whatever. And I'll try to find it myself. If you could give better directions, by all means, but I feel like it'd be very, very difficult for you to tell me which one I missed. But at least telling me the tier would be good. Anyway, so here's me kind of scanning over to make sure I've gotten power in all of them. And even if you don't, it's fine. I'll figure it out later. I just figure some of you guys like to help and stuff. So if you wanted to, you could kind of take a look to make sure. And it could, you know, it could help me out. Maybe not, but it could. And once we start putting down some of the plots and stuff, the pots, I'll kind of discover it as I go and be like, oh, wait, this one doesn't have power. Why not? And then I'll go and like relook at everything and it'll be fine. But anyway, so now that we have this, what I need to do is start moving the power pots over and figuring out how I'm going to transport items. Now, my initial way and idea of transporting items was actually going to be to use tesseracts. Because if I use tesseracts, it's easy. I could set them all to just send from all of these areas. This whole area could be set to send. And I could have one tesseract wherever down in the room below, like I was mentioning for my my storage drawer area or room or whatever. And I could just have that one set to receive and just inject it directly into there. I might just have to go the route of enter chests, which I'm not a big fan of. I mean, I don't hate them. They're very, 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 very useful, but I prefer to use other things if possible. One, because I rely on them too much, and two, because, I don't know, it's just kind of obnoxious to hear the opening and closing of the chests when you need to go in there and check things. But it is what it is. If we have to, at the end of the day, I'm going to use the inner chests. But if there's another way, I'm going to try to find that too. Anyway, so let me go ahead and start hooking up some more stuff here, I guess, and we'll see just how far I get. It has begun. So as you can see, we can see the tubes, the cables, the whatever you want to call them, item pipes, through the ice, and I'm not a big fan of that. I don't know exactly how to get around that because we are using ice. Now I know packed ice and blue ice would obscure them a lot more, if not completely, but that's a lot of blue ice to have in large strips like this in order to cover the cables. And I'm not necessarily against that, but it would be a lot of work to blend in, and we may go that route, or if I can find a way to hide them a different way or use a different pipe that works better, we may go that route. I don't know exactly, but I do know that we are going to work on that in the future. We're going to make them hidden, at least a little bit more. I don't know how far we're going to be able to get with that, but for now we're going to leave it alone because the form is a little bit there and the function is really what we're going after. So now everything is basically in their spot. We have the tier 1, we have the tier 2, we have the tier 3s, we have a tier 4, 2 tier 5s, and our tier 6, which is all 8 of the ones that we had hooked up previously. Now we do also have, there's another one around here in the system. I forget where I put it, because I took it out in order to do the other one. I don't remember. We have a bunch of seeds in here, which we're going to have to hook up and get into, but we're not quite ready for that many of the PowerPots yet. What I really need to work on is actually getting a lot more of our Nitro reactors set up in order to support that many of them. And then I can worry about making more and actually putting more in. So that's kind of one of the things I'm working towards. We're going to get more of these guys. And now that I have the Nether Stars, the Nether Star seeds in our system over here, ready to go and already being extracted and deposited where they need to be deposited, we're good to go for a while. We should be able to make a decent number of Nitro ones now that we have like 48 of these. And that's just a coincidental number. That's not actually maxed out. I did add the upgrades into these. If I go with an empty hand, I have a couple of upgrades. You can see on the little thing at the top, stack limit is 1024. 32 stacks plus 3 stacks does not equal 1024. So we're actually good on that. But we're kind of set. I just need to make more reactors, put down some more of the plots, the power pots, and make them. Though I do have 8 already made, and I could put these guys up somewhere, getting ready for some of the more important seeds. The other thing I'm going to make sure I do is every single one of these is going to have Insanium farmland. And the reason we're going to do that is pretty obvious. We like Insanium, it's faster, and we have a whole lot of Supremium to play with. Like lots and lots and lots of Supremium. 429. We can make a decent number of Insanium farmland without even trying. So we're not going to have to worry too much about that. That said, if we made Insanium farmland for every single one of these, we would actually run out of Supremium. So we do need to make sure I hook up the Inferium essence in here somewhere. Inferium is a tier 1, I believe, right? Because I don't currently have Inferium here. I believe Inferium was a tier 1, though. Based on where it was before. Yeah, so we should have the Inferium seeds over here. This guy was processing a bunch of them, but I did save one as well. And we have this guy hooked up here to give us more of the Supremium essence as well. So I can drop those in my system. But I saved one of the Inferium seeds. Thank goodness for Self, because Self actually remembered something important. I actually remembered to save one rather than reprocessing all of them. Not that it would really matter that much, but still. So we're going to go ahead and actually get this guy hooked up right now. And try to do this. Also, I realized something. I've always had this side of these plots pointed against this. It's not actually necessary. You can have it on whatever side you want and it still gets the power. I just always have because I thought it was important. And now when I look at it, if it's not up against that side, I feel like I'm doing something wrong. So I'm probably going to aim mine that way anyway, but it's not actually required. So don't worry too much about that if you're doing this stuff. Progress has been made. So as you can see, our seed areas, they're gone. Now, the progress that was made was not actually destruction, it was actually creation. And let me show you what I'm talking about. If we go down, hello. If we go down, boom. We have room. We have storage room. We have one big storage room. And the way I've done this is basically the drawer controller. If you're not familiar, the drawer controller basically can connect to any drawers within a 12 by 12 by 12 area. Okay, so that's why it's in the center. If I had it on one side, it wouldn't be able to reach the other side. So we have it in the middle because from the middle, it's less than 12 blocks away from each of the others. I believe it can connect to everything. So far, it seems okay because we have this guy over here that is kind of this. Now, the seeds are a different story. I'm working on getting those set up, and I'll show you that in a minute. But for now, we have at least all of the essences are working. So if we go to our system, we'll see all of our essences in here. Apparently, we have a lot of nether quartz ore as well, but we have the essences at least. Now, they're not right all at the top because, well, I guess we could go to essence and I could show you like all the ones we have so far. But that's mainly because some of them don't have a whole lot. Like we have 149, we have 161. I thought we had more than that of redstone. I guess we don't. Oh, I haven't moved it all yet. Okay. The other issue is that these guys are still up here. Now, I've moved all the seeds from these drawers into here, and there's a reason for that. Again, I'll get to the seed part later. But we have all of the essences. I just need to move them all, and I could just extract them into my system, and I probably will and or might and or maybe not. I don't know yet. But we're working on this kind of thing, and I'm just trying to move everything over into the new area, and that's pretty much what it is. And time is wearing a little thin for this episode to get out, so I'm going to do that off camera, and we're going to work on that. Now, as far as the seeds, I need the reprocessor, but I upgraded the one we had in our other area up to the Supremium, so it's ridiculously fast. And every one of these drawers has a bunch of seeds in it, except for, of course, this guy, which is just a stack of regular empty drawers, and our drawer controllers, which now we have 5 of. So I'm just going to basically put an area down here. I'm going to put our seed reprocessor down here, somewhere where it can get power. I guess maybe we can, well, none of this stuff down here is actually getting power. This guy needs power too. So I need to hook power up to him anyway. We'll probably put a power thing right here maybe. And then I'll put this right here. And that way I can put the seeds here and then pipe it down and in just like I would anything else. But that'd probably work okay. And then I just need to pipe in all of our drawers. So what I'll probably do is set these up in a temporary drawer network, put down one of these controllers next to it, and just export into another ender chest, having that ender chest be connected to the seed root processor, which will then kind of convert everything into the essence and move it into our system. So we'll get rid of all the seeds. And after all we have the mass load of these, I just need to have the ender chest extract also into our seed reprocessor, and that should work as well because this guy has all of his slots set up. So the only thing that can go in here is the Inferium essence. That's it. This guy has room for only certain things. You see, this guy is extracting, but the seeds can't go in here, and that's because I have all of the drawers locked. So anytime we add a new essence into our network or get some new seeds, I'll have to come in here and manually place it into its slot. But I'd rather that be the problem than have to deal with the seeds being put into these drawers and having to fix them all the time. So it's kind of the lesser of two evils, but that's okay. That is okay. What is going to happen now, though? All of that will happen rather off camera because, like I mentioned, time is running a little thin. I've got to get this episode out to you. I've been missing way too many episodes lately. I'm trying to get back in the swing of things. But if you liked the episode, please do hit the like button and subscribe to see more. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.